Welcome to part 3 in the final installment. Is it better to be stronger and tougher when it comes to martial arts? Alright, so we went into a lot on being stronger and body changes. Okay? Now, I left off some stuff so I could add it over into this video about being stronger and being tougher. Now, here's the thing. Again, endurance is a thing. Your body is your temple. How you treat your body will reflect on how your body returns the favor. Okay? So if you are tougher, like me, versus stronger, like most people, as I don't have the physical upper body or lower body strength, and after my hip replacement, my body has diminished. Also, the fact with age, things diminish. It doesn't mean my skills are any less great. It just means that I have to adapt, as I said in the other video, on what I can use. Now, the thing about a wise fighter versus a cocky fighter. A cocky fighter who is stronger but not wiser is more than likely to get beat if it's a street fight and it's not a controlled environment where you're fighting for points versus that, when you're fighting for points, that stronger guy that just keeps nailing you, but he's not beating you, he's just nailing you because he's getting points in, he's going to win by points. But a tougher fighter can outlast a round. A person who has better endurance can outlast a round. A person who can take a beating and stay cognizant, aware of what's going on, versus the strong guy who can't take a hit. You're going to see how that works out. Because in most times, if you are a fighter and you are a drinker or a smoker, your body builds a tolerance to that on the inside, but on the outside, you lose just as much as you gain. If you are a smoker and you don't do cardio, your lungs won't be able to produce enough air in the midst of a fight, which means the harder you push yourself, the harder your lungs are going to have to push because you're a smoker, which also goes if you're a drinker. If you're a drinker and you gain a little bit of beer weight, it's going to be a lot harder for you to move that massive muscle around because of the fact that you've gained extra weight that you don't fucking need. Muscle outweighs fat, which is a fact, but fat's still there. And if you can't turn the fat into muscle or trim down the fat or do something, it's going to slow down your ability to move, which means you can be a stronger fighter and you can hit people all day, but if they know how to protect and they're tougher and their endurance is better than yours, it's more than likely they're going to outlast you. Now, a few months ago, my nephew, who's way younger, has no body fat, we were boxing, and he was beating my ass because we were boxing. Now, he would not fight me my fight, but he was whooping my ass, and he was bragging about it, he was whooping my ass, but the problem was, the fight only went 3 to 5 minutes. He got winded. He's also a smoker. When you are tougher, and you can outlast the guy throwing you a beating, which I'm using as an example, which is also why I'm leaving my nephew's name off, hail to my nephew. Anyway, when you are tougher, and you can outlast a guy that's throwing you everything he's got, until he wears himself out, then you go in for the kill. It's kind of like the George Foreman fight when they said, I don't remember the guy George Foreman fought, but he knocked him out. And George Foreman was back in the ring at the time at about maybe 50, maybe 60, somewhere in there. I think it was more. I'm not going to swear to it because it was 2 bald black guys in the ring, and George was just filling them out for every round. And then the guy who was fighting was just driving on George Foreman, just hitting him with everything he got. And George Foreman was tough and old, and he just kept lasting and lasting, round after round after round. And then the guy who was younger, who was winded, they went in for that last round. He hit George maybe 3 times, and George hit him at least twice. He's like, boom, wham, with an overhand left. It might have been overhand right. I guess it depends on the video. And George knocked his ass out. George won by TKO. And the thing about that was, George Foreman has had fight experience. The younger champion has had fighting experience, but George Foreman knows how his body works. George Foreman knows what kind of a beating he can take and how to survive a beating and deliver a victory. Henceforth, my opinion, my rules, it is better to be tougher than stronger. Tougher seems to last longer than stronger. To be honest with you, strength does run out. You fatigue when you are strong. You fatigue when you are tough. The problem is, tougher fatigues take longer. Because if you can beat on somebody, they can just take a beating all day. you're going to get tired. And if you're the stronger guy, the harder you swing and the easier this person knows how to absorb the blows. You know, so when you see somebody going at wrestling and they're going for a push kick and they're in the turnbuckle or they're running into the turnbuckle to give them the shoulder, how they come in, they absorb the blow. It's to protect themselves. They absorb the blow. So when I'm hitting like this, they're tucking in as I hit to reduce the impact of that blow, because that is how they have been trained to do so. It's not just to sell the fucking hit, but it's also to make sure that they can continue to perform on schedule the next night. Because, you know, if you get hurt, man, you know, you get put out of work for a minute, and healing is different as you get older. And some people don't even heal all the way before they jump back in the ring, which also works for fighters, which goes back to check number 2, it's better to be tougher than stronger. Strength only goes so far, but toughness lasts a lifetime, and that's just my opinion from my own fucking experience. And the best way for you to find out if you're tougher or stronger is to get into the ring with someone who has a little bit better skill than you and take everything that you can take until you can't. This is how I learned when I was fighting in the streets as a kid. You know, everybody I've ever fought in my life has been bigger than me. Everybody I've ever fought in my life, with the exception of sparring matches, I have won. When it comes to sparring matches are not real fights. And that's the thing you have to understand. You will lose a fuck ton of sparring matches. And it's not because you're not a good martial artist. It's either their skill level is great, and let me see if I can word this without pissing off every martial artist on the planet. Alright, when you are in an actual fight, everything you've learned in the dojo stays really in the dojo. When you are actually in a fight, because I can tell you from experience, I have never sit there and got into a fight and thought, crane kick, crane kick, crane kick. I thought, survive, survive, survive. So when a guy runs at me, front kick, basic shit. Guy gets to the side, knee to the gut, or forearm to the face. You know, I practiced the drills over and over and over again, and 9 times out of 10, everything I practiced, I wound up only using basic shit to survive a fight. You know, front kick, boom. You know, elbow, you got to get the person in the position for that. Blocks, you know, these are things you need. But what you really need to do is know how much of a beating you can take, just in case you can't get through their defenses. Because if you can't get through their defenses, it's going to be a long fight. And if they can't get through your defenses, it's going to be a long fight. But sooner or later, somebody's going to get a connection. And when they get the connection, if you're tough enough to get through it, you'll still be on your feet. If you get the connection and they're not tough enough to stand through it, they're going to go to sleep. So in my opinion, and you guys can write everything bad on the bottom or whatever, in my opinion, and only in my opinion, and from my experience, for me and only me, it is better to be tougher than stronger. This is Kung Fu Advocate number 2. Be seeing you.